Okay. I felt compelled to read something that I wrote. I have pink eye. Excuse the pink eye. It looks so bad. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Today's been a weird day. I'm having trouble with my breathing, so I might pause a lot. Um, Especially when I'm reading. Um, yeah, I don't really feel like performing like anything right now, so I'm just gonna be however I am. But I've been thinking for some time now that I would record a video around the time of my period and then, edit it and then post it by the time my next period starts. So I have like one video to work on per cycle, which makes it less daunting. And I'm also just like yeah, I'm not pushing myself to make anything of any sort now. But if I feel compelled to do it, I will do it, like now. I wrote this a while ago and I don't even remember exactly what I wrote. And I don't particularly feel it today, but I just got the idea to do it and it just was kind of felt like a yes. So I went with it. But now I have to find where it is. Heavy day today, lots of shit. Lots of shit. That's alright. Oh, so I'll have to stop midway through because I wrote half of it on my phone because my hand got tired or something. March 3rd. I wrote this on March 3rd, so I have to find March 3rd. I wrote a lot this day, so I don't know if all of this is it. Oh, yeah, okay. Alright. But the first line of my journal that day is I have no plans today, but focus on healing my eye. My other eye. Now it's this. Which, is really interesting because I have an eye phobia. Like, I've always been afraid of situations with my eyes, but I got pink eye a lot in high school. I think that's and you know what started this phobia is because I got a yeah, I'm gonna say it. One time I was like I was trying to take a clothing hanger like out of something, and the hook went up my eyelid. Nothing bad happened. Totally fine, but I had to. Ah! Anyways, since then I've been like really freaked out about eyes in eye situations because they're just a very vulnerable, they're the most vulnerable, sensitive part of your body. And yeah, you know, a lot of things with eyes lately are just, you know, if you just think about, sorry, my breathing's really fucked up right now. If you just think about, I don't know, different, everyone has their own journey with eyes. Last year, I had to take my grandma to the eye doctor. She had to get shots in her eyes for, what's it called? I don't know what it's called. And I watched it because she took me back there with her. And I have a thing where, like, if I'm getting a shot or someone is getting a shot, I have to watch. I don't. Some people have to look. I have to watch. I have to know what's going on. I don't know why I applied it to her, because it's like, it's not happening to me, so I feel like I could have looked away. But my mind was like, I have to look. And part of me was just like, you know what? I need to confront this. This is happening. I'm gonna face it. So brave of me. But yeah, I had a sty in this eye, so I think the infection, I wasn't careful about rubbing my eyes or sleeping, whatever. I think it just spread. That's the physical, but I always think that there's like a woo-woo meaning to everything. Or at least I like to. I think it's fun. Like, if I'm gonna have eye infection rising, chronic illness, digestive issue, sun, insomnia, moon, eye infection rising. No, I think it's fun to make things spiritual, whether they are or not. Also, I think everything's spiritual, and also everything is nothing. So yeah, when something happens to me, I always just look up infection, eye infection, spiritual meaning. Which is probably stupid, and I don't care. I feel ashamed when I do that, but like, as long as you don't ignore the physical, I think it's okay to also confront the potential spiritual, you know? I think it gets tricky when you're just like, oh, I'm not gonna go to the doctor because God wants me to look inward or something, you know? But the way I've like conceptualized it is that there's a couple different meanings I could take from it. Either I'm not seeing something important, I'm not paying attention to what's in front of me, or, you know, and like, spirit's trying to bring attention to my eyesight so I pay better attention to what's in front of me, or I look for things that I need to look at, or like I'm ignoring something. Okay, that's one. Or the opposite, spirit wants me to close my eyes and turn inwards and stop, you know, getting consumed with the drama of my day-to-day life, and really just focus in on like myself and what I'm feeling and what I believe, and not being so like externally validated or needing to the external to validate me. There was another one, and I don't remember which one I decided. Yeah, I think broadly I went with the idea that I need to turn, or that, yeah, I'm perceiving things incorrectly or something like that. But I think I went with the one that's like, I just need to turn inwards and stop looking outside of myself for what I have internally, or like stop looking or seeking things outside myself to make me feel good or make me feel loved or good enough, whatever. So that's a fun woo-woo nonsense, but also literally true thing to do. Yeah, especially because, like, if you're going to, like, if you have a lot of physical symptoms, I think it makes it just more bearable to just, like, first of all, I try not to attach to them with my identity. I have before, and I don't want, because I'm just I'm not gonna live like this forever. I'm not gonna feel like this forever. I'm gonna get healthy again. Like, I'm not having it. But when it does happen, and and it's like I can't control exactly what happens, yeah, I'm gonna get something out of it. I'm gonna progress. I mean, you have to be careful. Because then you could be like internalizing every physical symptom, which is not, you don't want to do that. I've done that. That's not good. Yeah, but there's a balanced way to do it, within reason. But anyway, I wrote this about bitterness. I don't feel bitter today. I feel sad and lonely and, like, pissed off and fuck you and I don't give a shit and who cares? What the fuck? Like, I really don't care. Like, I'm tired of living in so much stress, trying to, what's interesting is, like, I'm realizing how, I don't know, I've taken in some of this, like, I don't know, I feel like every couple months the manifestation shit gets on my feed, and, you have a gander, you have a little walkabout, sue me. I don't know. I don't know anything. And I just, sometimes you just need to, like, believe in bullshit. And sometimes you need to believe it's true. I don't know. Sometimes it has helped me. I don't know. I don't apply it to other people. I think that's the thing. It's like, I would never, no. Especially, like, the part about, like, yeah, I think I don't know. I think it's tricky. But the part that doesn't really resonate is that, like, you have control over what happens out in the world. Or, like, yeah, your internal state creates the external world. To some degree, yeah. But I don't fully buy it. Even when I'm, like, kind of in a spiral. I've never fully bought it. I forget where I was going with this. I don't know that I was going. I know I was going somewhere. Oh, yeah. But that kind of logic, that kind of thinking of, like, oh, I need to maintain this certain state in order for the outside world to give me what I want it to give me. First of all, manipulative. Why are we emotionally manipulating the universe? That's kind of sounds really stupid. You don't think the universe, who's, like, all expansive, is just, like, not gonna pick up that you're being disingenuous and just trying to manipulate it? I don't know. But also, if you've, like, grown up in an abusive household or, like, a narcissistic household, or I feel like every person has this sort of experience of having to, whether it was that level or not, like, if you're a people pleaser, like, if, we're all being manipulated on a grand scale. So it's like everyone has this experience of minimizing or changing their themselves in order to manipulate their relationships. Okay, so it's like that kind of manifestation rhetoric is like just reminds me of like the universe is not your narcissistic father. You know, like you don't have to be like in a certain state all the time in order for the universe to not like be a piece of shit to you. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of an interesting way I've thought about it lately. It was like, wow, this reminds me of, you know, having to be a certain way in order to avoid a negative situation. That's what that feels like. I don't know. In other ways, I'm very much buying into some of that logic, and so I don't know. Mostly because I'm just like, I can't control what's going on in my life right now, and I'm just like, whatever. I'm not suffering anymore. Like I'm not doing it. So I'm gonna just ignore this reality and just be delusional and whatever I believe is gonna happen, because fuck this. Fuck this. That's where I'm at with that kind of logic, and I think it's a healthy place to be right now. Maybe, I don't really know. I don't know anything. Yeah, that's the daunting thing about spirituality. It feels really bleak and just scary to just like get on the internet and people are just like so decisively saying things, and they're very much just selling you something, and it's just very, but at the same time they're trying to help you, or they think they're helping, and there's some truth to what they say, so it's not entirely bad, and so it's really kind of, it just feels icky. Yeah, but it also feels helpful at the same time. I don't know, it's really difficult. Like I feel like I've been very much helped by like, I don't know, spiritual people on the internet that maybe are people I don't agree with, but they helped me in some way. You know what I mean? So, and it just feels difficult. It doesn't feel like there's like one way to look at things or a true way to look at things, and that's difficult for me to bear. But I also just think, you know, that's just the nature of this spiritual information on the internet. And the solution is just to log off, check out, you know, experience life for yourself, you know, let things be kind of nuanced and contradictory and paradoxical, and let things be unknown and weird and uncertain. And, you know, yeah, I think it's also like I take these thoughts in and then I feel like I have to apply it. And then that feels, you know, like I have to focus on applying it. When it's just like, no, just be a person, just live. Yeah, we're all just so hyper aware of how we're living, and that's not necessarily healthy. We're so aware, but we're not applying that awareness because we really can't. Like, there's just so much information that's coming in. I watched this documentary. I'm rambling. Maybe I won't read this. I don't know. I watched this documentary about Edward Bernays. He's like the man that just like is responsible for propaganda in public relations. He invented public relations, and like controlling the masses. Yeah, it was really horrifying. Yeah. We're just, yeah, I mean, it didn't tell me anything new, but just, it was so eerie to get like the backstory of like, oh, this is the way that we live now is such an abrupt, like, evolution, to the point where it's like, yes, empires have existed for a long time. You know, capitalism has been going on for a couple centuries. I don't know. But obviously, like, the major change, I guess, was in the last century with this sort of like, I mean, there's different ones that people point to the Industrial Revolution, and that definitely plays a role in this, like, and you know, well, I guess that goes hand in hand. Yeah, it is the Industrial Revolution, but like, yeah, the creation of the consumer and the consumer culture and the controlling of the masses through consumption, that is like within the last century, and that like has degraded so much of our humanity and the infrastructure of our humanity, and like the just like, I don't know, the day-to-day of our lives, like, yeah, it's just changed people's lives so much just in the past 100 years, and it's just really kind of, I don't know. I don't know why it feels more like scary that it's happened so fast. And then I guess it's equally as scary to be fighting, you know, structures that have existed for centuries before that. Then that feels a bit more final. I don't know. But yeah, just watching that was just like, wow. Just, yeah, I don't know. I feel like between like us and our like maybe great grandparents, like, we are very different lifestyles and people. In some ways better, some ways worse, but like, I don't know. It's just very bleak. How much? I don't know. It's got depressing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that either. But it was just kind of scary, to confront, you know, the ways that we are just manipulated with our need for consumption. Mm-hmm. Which the spiritual stuff can help you with, because it's like, well, like real spiritual stuff. If you're like, if you are, you know, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that I watched that documentary today, while I'm also simultaneously having this discovery that, you know, I've been seeking for peace and for love and for acceptance outside of myself. Okay, I'm having this like that realization, and that like, until I have to just find that love within, and like everything around me in my life can go to shit. You have to just find that love within. And honestly, like, a lot of the things that I want, or that I feel like I need, or like a lot of the unsafety I feel, is just self-rejection, is just me needing the outside world to make me feel safe and make me feel loved, because I'm not. giving that to myself within. And so, yeah, once I realize that, and I'm just kind of dropping the armor and just accepting, like, I'm soft. Maybe it is a weakness, but I'm soft, and and I don't, yeah, I'm not fighting anymore. I'm tired of fighting and resisting and just like trying to be tough and just tough it out to earn my place in the world, or like not even earn my place in the world, but to like control my life so that I will be acceptable and I will be lovable. Once I figure that out, I don't need to buy anything other than like food. And yeah, there's still gonna be things I want to buy because modern life has made us like need to buy things, which sucks. Like if you feel down on yourself or like hard on yourself about needing to buy things or wanting to buy things, yes, on one hand, we're a consumer culture and you may not need everything you think you need, or you shouldn't buy everything you want, right? Okay, whatever. At the same time, those are things that our ancestors may have had. Like, your desire for like quality furniture, or like to have a nice apartment, these are things, or just a nice living space, that, or maybe you want nice clothing. These are things that like we would have had, our ancestors would have had. Obviously, yes, there was scarcity and poverty, and depending on your identity, you had different access to these things. But the quality of all the resources was top notch. There wasn't like polyester bullshit, and there wasn't IKEA furniture. So it's like the standard was quality. And so if you could have it, it would have been quality. So it's like, I have felt guilty before for like wanting nice things. And it's just like, no, the thing should be nice. That means that it like didn't come into the world via like unpaid labor or slavery, or like child labor. Yeah, so I'm off topic. But yeah, it's interesting. At the time, I'm having this realization that the love is within, and I actually don't need anything to go right in my life in order to make me feel that love. And all this stress and strain and pain that I felt the past couple years about my external life has all just been a result of me denying myself love, right? And needing those things in order to accept myself, right? We're all taught conditional love. Okay, maybe not all of us, but most of us. And then I watched this documentary that's about manipulating the masses to buy things they don't need. How do you do that? You play on their what was it? This guy was related to Freud. This Edward Bernays, he was related to Freud. Freud was his uncle. And had Edward Bernays not been so successful at public relations, Freud's works would not have been published, right? Okay. Or like popularized, I should say. But yeah. How do you make a massive population, or the masses, want to buy something that they don't need? Because before, people just bought what they needed because that's what they had. Because everyone was just working, and there wasn't a lot of excess, right? So, how do you make people buy things they don't need? Freud's idea of this, like, humans have this subconscious, irrational emotions that make them bad or whatever. I forget what it is. It's like, yeah, it's like man's true animalistic nature, which is like, they were overthinking it. Everybody else in the world was being fucking normal. Just, they had to be like, man is evil, you know? Meanwhile, then this logic gets used to literally manipulate humans in order to control them. Us. It's still being used. But yeah, it's interesting that I had that realization, and then I come across this documentary about, you know, playing on people's irrational emotions. You know, there was this the way that they got women used to not smoke. The way that they got women, oh wait, I need to tell this better, but hold on. Let me think about this. Yeah, it's interesting because, like, irrational like, an example would be like, oh, for example, what they do is they take beautiful actresses and they put them with a product on a magazine, and that's how they get women to buy shit, okay? Yeah, we know that. That's happening times 1,000 at this point with social media. The rational emotion there is, I need to be beautiful, or I need everyone to want to have sex with me, or I'm a human, and I have this carnal need to have sex and need to be attractive and mate, so I have to be the most beautiful, and this woman's beautiful, so if I buy that product, I'll be beautiful. And that shit fucking works. But if you understand that the love only comes from within, maybe not only, but that love has to come from within, and you realize that you don't need anything in the external world to validate you in your worth, and you don't need to buy any of that shit, and you don't need to be manipulated, and you won't be manipulated. Then you won't go work a job that's gonna kill you. It's gonna put you in the ground. Right? That's obviously how this whole thing works. Now, yeah, there's very real threats to our survival. I'm not saying that there isn't, but it's interesting that I was having that realization, and then separately I see this, hey, by the way, this is this documentary that shows exactly how that has been abused. But yeah, in the documentary, maybe I'll put it in the thing. I'm an influencer. In the documentary, they have women used to, in the 1920s or whatever, women used to not smoke, right? There was a taboo around women smoking. Bring it back. Smoking is bad. Yeah, it was like unladylike to smoke or something. Not unladylike, but like uncouth. I don't know why that word came to me, but I like it. Yeah, it's just a taboo. Like, women didn't want to smoke. And then Edward Bernays, okay? He's the head of this. He started this whole public relations thing, okay? He's a New York businessman. You know, he's very powerful and rich and whatever he has. You know, he helps the presidents, you know, I forget which one. Hoover? No, there was one. Nobody knows his name because nobody liked him. I don't know. But he helped him gain popularity by I'm getting off topic. But anyway, this Edward Bernays is, you know, connected, right? So he knows the chair or president or whoever the fuck owns the tobacco industry, okay? Some big guy in the tobacco industry, big tobacco, okay? He knows one of them, and the tobacco guy is like, we're missing out on half our market with the women. They won't smoke. How do we get them to smoke? We need you to manipulate them to smoke. So Edward Bernays, what he does is on an Easter parade in New York. Every year there's one. I don't know if there's still, I don't know. But during the Easter parade, he has debutantes. Okay? Young, beautiful, high class, high society women. Wait. The reason that women didn't smoke, okay? So Edward Bernays, he shoots it up to the psychoanalysts. One of the top psychoanalysts in New York, and he asks them, why aren't women smoking? Because you need to know why women aren't smoking in order to get them to smoke, right? So he shoots it up to that guy. Don't know his name. And he's like, women don't smoke because it reminds them of... Wait, hold on, let me think about this. Like, the cigarette is symbolic of the penis, and it somehow, it feels, women subconsciously feel that smoking gives power to men. They explain it better in the video, but it's like, yeah, basically, like, to smoke, for a woman to smoke would be to admit masculine dominance or energy or whatever, or give power to masculine energy. And that's why women don't smoke, because it's like, you know, it's reminiscent of, you know, the cigarette is reminiscent of the oral fixation and the penis, blah, 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 in women's, yeah, okay. I'll try to figure out how they said it. It made more sense when they said it. Or maybe it just doesn't make sense, because it's like irrational, right? But anyway, these women are like, that's a penis, I'm not doing it, respect. But, so yeah, he finds that out, and Edward Bernays is like, okay, well, if you get a bunch of hot bitches smoking at the Easter parade, everyone's gonna know. And if you what's that word? Rebrand it. If you rebrand it, the cigarette is a torch of liberty, okay? This is during the suffrage movement, or near around it, whatever. The women, you have the young women smoking the cigarettes at the Easter parade, all those cameras on them, and you call them torches of liberty, okay? That takes women's mind off, okay, the cigarette's a penis. No, it's a torch of liberty. And it's reminiscent, or it's it is something, I don't know the word, put together with women's suffrage, right? To smoke is to have freedom. To choose to smoke is a woman's freedom. Okay, and then women start smoking. But yeah, we already know all this stuff. We obviously know if they were being manipulated. And I didn't intend to come on here and really talk about how much about all this stuff. Because it's like, we already know, and it's like, I don't really want to linger on it, but, you know, you do have to linger on it, because you do have to face it, and to bring it to light is the best way to confront it. But there's really no moral of the story here. Well, I guess this will be a separate video. Bye!